Okay, boys, if I call break, you take one step back. Don't let any punches go around the back of the head. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves. Good luck, fellas.
Well, just the final instructions there from Steve Gray. What a chance for both of these men.
Time, please.
For the title that was vacated by Joshua Buatsi. And Pitters with that huge height advantage and reach advantage as well. And for Chad Sugden tonight, Richie, this is all about him trying to get inside that jab and him trying to make Shakan Pitters think.
Well, yes, well, his better work's done at short and mid-range anyway, Chad Sugden, we know that. But what the problem he will have is getting round that jab, so what he's got to do is basically counter-punch on the front foot in terms of drawing the lead, slip the shot and trying to whip the right hand over the top. Also, when he gets on the inside, he's good with the left hook, is Sugden, and occasionally Pitters drops that right hand, so he might be just open to that shot.
I know you know him well and watched him spar on many an occasion, and of course you fought his father as well from the Small Heath area of Birmingham, a place you know well.
Yes, I visited Small Heath a couple of weeks ago, and a big shout out to the Pat Benson Boxing Academy there. They're doing great things in the community, working with schools and the police and young offenders and all sorts. They are really doing a great job in amateur boxing, and they really are improving the streets of Birmingham and Small Heath.
Yeah, good on and keep going. Keep up the great work. It's a good right hand there from Chad Sugden. Did manage to get inside and just do a little bit of damage there. Interesting start, George, this.
Yeah, that was a great right hand from Sugden. Being a big specimen that Pitters is, obviously he's presenting that much more target. He doesn't stand tall, which is very good for him, but he's got to watch out for that loopy right hand that's going to come over the top. It's going to be Sugden's money shot, I believe, for the rest of the night.
And he did make the point. He really stressed it, Chad Sugden. You know, I might not be hugely experienced in the boxing ring, but I'm a fighter, former kickboxing champion. Says he's fought kickboxers who were 6'6" and managed to put them away.
Well, kickboxers also fight at a wider range because obviously they've got to contend with legs that are longer than arms. So he'll be used to being that feeling of being out of range and having to close the gap to let his hands go.
A couple of little signs there of what Sugden should be doing in terms of moving his head a little bit more. Just got caught with a lovely 1-2 from Pitters, so he's got to watch that. But Pitters, for me, it's very important that his jab is sharp, it's crisp, and it hits the target. If it misses, that gives Sugden that opportunity to land that counter.
Well, they've been having a good look at each other in this opening round. They both had little pockets of success as well. Comes towards an end. Both making their intentions clear. Good work again there from Chad Sugden as we head towards the end of round one. Well, here are some of the highlights, Richie, from that opening round.
Yeah, lovely shot there from Sugden, right hand over the top, and there's that lovely 1-2 from Pitters. So it was an even round, wasn't it? Hard to split that one.
Round two.
Yeah, round two, as they both head potentially for 12 for the first time in their careers. A big step up for Chad Sugden, who's only ever gone 8, as he did against Craig Richards, who was initially the intended opponent of Shakan Pitters. What a performance that was from the underdog Sugden against Richards. Fight he was expected by many to lose, but managed to force the draw over 8 rounds on Lee Cook's scorecard. Good habit to get into in this sport, overcoming adversity like that, and he has to do it again here tonight.
Ring position is crucial in a contest like this. For Pitters, centre of the ring and controlling ring space and keeping his opponent on the outside of the ring is what he should be doing. And for Sugden, he must double up his attacks and sustain the pressure and push Pitters back onto the ropes. 9 times out of 10, that's when boxers' feet come square. They're at their target, goes full onto the opponent, and that will give Sugden then the chance to work the body. So for Pitters, it's centre of the ring. For Sugden, this is where he should be getting Pitters on the ropes.
Pitters having the height and reach, he always wants that room to drop back and then let his longer limbs, you know, pay dividend. So, yeah, as you say, Sugden wants to back him up and then try and keep him on the ropes, and therefore remove that option of being able to drop back.
Pitters continues to try and control things behind that really useful jab. Needs to try and set everything up from that punch. Sugden has to stop himself being a static target, and he's done it fairly effectively so far.
Lovely little right uppercut on the inside there from Pitters. He just had his back to a Sugden. I don't know how if it connected, but it looked a good shot from here. But Pitters in this round, he's just starting to establish that jab, and he's getting into a rhythm. And Sugden has got to nip this in the bud. He really has got to do something about that. But that's the problem, you see, to close that gap down. He's got to move the head. Pitters is boxing better now at range.
This is where Sugden wants to be. It's been a good round so far, this, for Shakan Pitters, George.
Yeah, not an awful lot in it, but I feel like Pitters is starting to get a control of the fight here. He's definitely controlling the centre of the ring, and he's keeping it at his distance, which is comfortable for him. He just can't afford to switch off and get caught on the ropes.
A bit of fancy footwork there from Pitters. Doesn't want to get too square on. Cross those feet.
Ladbroke sponsors Boxing on Fire.
You see the cut there on the lip of Chad Sugden, his dad Dean Sugden, the trainer, and the cutsman as well tonight.
10 seconds.
I think that's what caused it.
Yeah, good right. And there's that
Seconds
right
out.
uppercut. Super shot there from Pitters.
Round 3.
No, Steve Gray wants to have a look at that cut on the lip. Trying to get a good look at it here in the shadows of our studio.
I think it may have come from that right uppercut, Dave.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, you could hear what they were saying there. If it gets worse than that, we're going to have another look at it, but for now he's okay to carry on. It's a sign of just how bad it is from up close from Steve Gray's view, and it's a problem already for Sugden, George.
Yeah, it's not bleeding. Hopefully it's not having an effect on his, you know, his vision or his performance. So hopefully it's something that ain't going to stop the fight, but it's something that he doesn't want it to get worse, certainly.
Might just force him into something a little more reckless than he might otherwise have tried. He'll be thinking about it at the moment, I'm sure.
A couple of little good moves there from Sugden. Again, Pitters, he's boxing well behind his jab, but he's got to keep it going. And the problem that Pitters will have, if he keeps being successful with the jab, is occasionally then he can become complacent. And if you throw a slow jab, especially to the body, he just did one earlier, it was a slow jab, and he got away with it. But Sugden almost come back with that counter. That jab has got to be sharp, and it's got to be crisp. If it slows down, that allows Sugden to come back with a fast counter.
He was in that terrific fight against Dex Spellman, where he won the English light heavyweight title, Shakan Pitters, but he looked so vulnerable to the left hook that night at York Hall. And that's a punch that Chad Sugden certainly favours. Got to be very, very careful with that right hand. Sugden going after him here.
That's where Sugden's got to keep Pitters there. Before that, Pitters boxing well from the centre of the ring. He's in control. The right hand is a problem though when he keeps dropping it. He's definitely open to a left hook, but if he's boxing from the centre of the ring, he seems to be in control, Pitters, but Sugden's got to realise that and push him back.
See the blood on the lip there of Sugden. Something for Pitters to target as well, but that's a great combination in response from Chad Sugden. Not allowing Pitters to dictate here, George.
No, he's not. Pitters is landing good shots on the drop back when Sugden's coming in a straight line, but whenever he takes an angle and lets his hands go, he's having an effect. Sugden maybe just having a breather. He just took it out to double distance. There again.
Time from Pitters, yeah.
Probably starting his attacks off from just too far away, Sugden. He's telegraphing his attacks, I think, and that's just allowing Pitters just to land that odd right hand. He's just got to be...
The uppercut there to end round 3. It's a punch with which he had a really good bit of success against Dex Spellman. Going to get to work on that cut now. This is Chad Sugden's corner with his dad, Dean. Also working on the cut, John Costello in there as well. Let's have a listen.
That cut was from a punch right on the leg. Doctor's okay with it.
Here's some of the action, Richie. There's that uppercut right at the end of the round.
Yeah, super shot there from Pitters. But Sugden himself had a couple of good attacks here, but there's that right hand over the top from Pitters as Sugden's coming forward, starting the attack from just a little bit too far away, and another good right hand there. So it's allowing Pitters to see the attacks coming, and he's beating him to the punch.
10 seconds. Seconds out. Round 4.
Well, as we thought it might, it's developing into a good scrap, this. Shakan Pitters, who when he was a young man used to dream of wearing the West Bromwich Albion shirt in the Premier League.
What's wrong with that, Dave?
I didn't say anything. He's dreaming here of becoming British champion, and then he hopes taking a few giant leaps. Good straight right hand there from Shakan Pitters.
He's got to move the head more, hasn't he, George, as he's coming forward, Sugden. He's getting caught with these right hands.
Yeah, obviously he's got to travel a long way to get into range, you know, so he's going to have to take his head off the line on his way in, you know. I think punching on your way in is a good idea, but you take your head off the line as well, otherwise you're just going to get hit on your way into range from the guy with the longer arms. Better from Sugden as he came in behind the jab. He landed it.
Trying to work from the centre of the ring here, Pitters. Impose his will on this fight. Just a sense with Sugden that he won't go away. I know that Chad and Dean felt that if that Richards fight had gone on 2 rounds longer, there was only one winner of it. He just keeps coming and coming.
He's got to be quicker with the feet, though, Dave. I think the pace is suiting Pitters myself. He's working with the jab. Look, he's controlling the pace. For me, Sugden, that's what Sugden's got to do. Step on the gas and quicken the feet up.
The danger for Sugden always was that Pitters established a rhythm and almost won this comfortably behind that long jab and used that reach. That's what Sugden has to avoid the fight developing in that way. And there's that right uppercut again from Pitters. It's a real money shot for him, that, George.
No, it is. It's a great shot, and Sugden, if he's going to stay at that longer range, that's okay. But then as soon as he comes in, he can't keep coming on the straight line, because Peters is almost having three shots on his way in. Peters starting to press the fight now. He's moving forward on the front foot. Not necessarily forcing the action, but you can see from his posture, he's half leaning forward. He's in a position to pull back when the shots come, and then he can generate that power to counter Sugden.
Ladbroke sponsors Boxing on 5.
First seat then, mate, no problem.
Corners, 10 seconds. Seconds out. Round 5.
So round 5 of the scheduled 12 for this British light heavyweight title. Shakan Peters with that huge advantage of height and reach. Just starting in that 4th round to get towards a level of domination that he would have wanted. At the moment, the fight's starting to go his way, and Chad Sugden needs to do something about that.
We saw glimpses in that previous round of what Sugden should be doing. There's a couple of instances where he pressed the attack, sustained it, but only for a very short period. He pushed Peters back occasionally, and that's what he's got to concentrate more on doing, and quicken these feet up and just put a little bit more behind his shots and throw more combinations and put Peters under pressure. At the moment, like I say, Peters is boxing at mid and mainly long range, and he's controlling things at this stage.
That was better from Sugden. He changed the attack from body to head and then back down to the body, and I think that's where he might have a bit more success if he starts targeting the body a little bit more, try and slow Peters' feet down, and then he can start taking the attacks back up to the head and have more success.
Yeah, left hook to the body again there, and followed to the head. Caught there as he came in by Shakan Peters, who's definitely a work in progress, but you can see what Mick Hennessy sees in him. He speaks so enthusiastically about Shakan Peters, believes that he can go all the way. You can see what he likes.
Well, he's 6'6", isn't he? The height and reach over almost every opponent that he faces, and you know, his mid to long range work is very good indeed. You've got to get up close to him. This is where Sugden has got to go to work and maybe practice that left hook, concentrate on that left hook. Occasionally Peters drops that right hand, especially on the inside. He's got long levers, not really designed for the inside work. And Sugden has got to get close to this man, but that's the problem.
Chad Sugden's best win so far, probably against Luke Blackledge last summer, against the former Commonwealth champion, albeit probably past his best, but still a good win. But he started this evening as a fairly big underdog. He's at the moment just trying to hang on a bit to Shakan Peters. Getting that right uppercut from Peters.
Ladbroke sponsors Boxing on 5.
Every time it's on a punch, control it, yeah? Good, a little round up, yeah?
We're listening into Shakan Peters' corner. Paul Coonahan,
10 seconds.
lead trainer. Pretty happy, I think, with the performance so
Seconds
far.
out. Round 6.
We'll be halfway at the end of this 6th round. Just feel that even though Chad Sugden, George, is having these pockets of success, he needs something more sustained here.
Yeah, I think so. I think Don't think he's going to win this fight on the back foot, circling around the ring with his back towards the ropes. He needs to put Peters onto the back foot and try and back him up onto the ropes so that he doesn't have that room to drop back, and therefore he can let his hands go and maybe have some success. Peters he's got a short drop back, and he's letting his backhand go, his right hand go. And sometimes it comes up through the middle. We've seen the uppercut come through a couple of times, and sometimes straight right hand. And as soon as he starts landing that at will, I think he's going to pay real dividend.
Yeah, just starting to measure him a little bit here as well. He's growing in confidence, Peters.
But it's tough. It's tougher for Sugden to have to keep covering that distance. You know, that can be exhausting. And when you do it, you want to make sure that there's a product at the end of it. You don't want to be coming in and clashing and not landing anything clean. At the moment, he looks like, you know, he's not quite sure of himself about making that commitment to getting close.
Richie, you've watched an awful lot of Shakan Peters in the last couple of years. Does he look comfortable to you?
I think he's boxing at his pace. I think he's controlling things pretty well at the moment. This is a little bit better from Sugden. The pace is just suiting Peters down to the ground, and as I say, where he's boxing from in the ring, centre of the ring, he's controlling things. Sugden, you know, probably needs a few feints to draw the jab and try and slip the jab then and land the right hand over the top, but he's too far away. He's way too far out at the moment, Sugden. He's got to go. It's got to be an all or nothing approach at times, and to push his opponent back onto the ropes. This is where he's got to let his hands go now, you see, and keep Peters pinned onto the ropes. But Peters, for me, yeah, I think he's boxing fairly comfortable.
The body and head there again, Shakan Peters. Sugden has not been able to do so far what Dex Spellman did, which was to put him under pressure. Land shots of his own. Sustained pressure as well in that fight. Good work to the body again there. He's noticeably starting to switch to the body a bit more here, Shakan Peters.
I used to like watching videos of the old Joe Frazier again when he used to box taller opponents. His approach was fantastic. The head movement from Frazier to close that gap down, avoid the shots, and then to get to his opponent. That's what he used to do, and this is probably what Sugden needs. More head movement, quicker feet to really put it on him.
Ladbroke sponsors boxing on.
Hold it in, hold it in. Don't it. Hold it in.
Well, this fight was originally scheduled for March in Coventry, but of course then the world changed.
Corners, 10 seconds.
This is the work from that previous round, and that's why
Seconds out.
we're here in a cavernous
Round
studio
7.
watching Shakan Peters and Chad Sugden fight for the British light heavyweight title, and you would have to say that Peters is well clear at the moment and moving clearer potentially, George.
Yeah, on my card, I think he's in full control. He's boxing well. He's controlling the ring, which is controlling the fight. And Sugden is struggling with the range, which is, you know, understandable. But he needs to find an answer soon to start getting some good quality work off.
Otherwise, it will turn into a very long night for him. No single shots won't do it for Chad Sugden. Little smile there from Peters. One criticism of Shakan Peters is 13 wins, 4 knockouts. He is one of those, I think, that they always say hits a little bit harder than he looks. Might not have a whole heap of knockouts on the record, but it's that cumulative effect that those punches have.
And the jab can be a major weapon, can't it? It's not only a point scorer, but it can bust your opponent up. It really can. You keep getting hard jabs in the face. It's very difficult to get around that shot. It disrupts the balance of the opponent, and obviously scores points as well. And Peters has got a lovely jab. Look how long his arms are. And you know, Dave, when you prepare against boxers like Joshua Buatsi, when you're doing the hard work in the training, probably the two leading light heavies are Anthony Yard, Joshua Boatsy in this country at the moment. And you know, Shakan Pitters has done a lot around with Boatsy. He's prepared well for this.
Well, he's determined to make a real go of it. Determined to fight for his daughter to be a massive success. And time isn't on his side, really, the age of 31.
And I remember boxing his old man. His old man was just as awkward and tall and rangy, and he gave me some problems. It took me 8 rounds. Great days, happy memories, you know.
He's going to start singing in a minute.
Have you, George, tallest opponent you faced?
I faced a couple tall, never quite the height difference that I think we're seeing tonight. I mean, Callum Smith was a good 4 inches taller than me. Rabras, who I boxed for a European title, he must have been a good 6'3", so maybe 3 inches taller. But you've been in the gym with guys that are just freakishly tall. It's tough, but you've got to find that solution.
Yeah, it's getting into crisis mode for that Chad Sugden corner as we look at Shakan Pitters.
You know when you control it.
I'm going to say he's having it all his own way. He's earned the right to be having it his own way in those earlier rounds, but he mustn't switch off here, George.
No, definitely not. I think, you know, as the fight starts creeping closer to the finish, and if Sugden feels that he needs a stoppage to win, then he might throw more caution to the win and let his hands go, be a bit more wild and therefore a bit more dangerous. And definitely Pitters can't be relaxed and start taking shots. I'd like to see Pitters to step on the gas a little bit more now as well. Not necessarily settle for a point to win. Let's try and put the foot on the gas and put Sugden under some real pressure.
Yeah, round 8 now of the scheduled 12, and he must be, you would think anyway, some distance ahead on the 3 judges' scorecards here. Pitters.
But it's one of those fights where you've got to hold your concentration. Like I said earlier about complacency, Pitters is winning this contest, but he can't afford to switch off. Sugden is still dangerous, and he'll look for that slow jab, and he'll want to come across with that right hand over the top, most certainly. And he can throw it, so he's still dangerous, Sugden. You've got to hold your concentration levels against this type of opponent.
Just thrown off balance momentarily there, Sugden. He doesn't look dispirited yet. But if he's going to turn the tide, he has to make something happen.
No, he's not taking big shots. He hasn't taken any big shots. He hasn't been hurt once, but he just can't get into range to find a home for his punches. Yeah, I'd like to see him show to the head and maybe punch down to the body. They might have some success that way. You know, disguise with a feint to the head, and then maybe get some bigger shot, just like he did there. But then follow up on that. Don't creep away. When the guy's that big, you got to stay on him. You got to stay on him and keep him under pressure.
20.
You see these really tall guys, when they have to let their hands go in a burst, they can sometimes look ragged because, you know, their arms are just so long. It's hard for them to have the neat and tidy work on the inside. So you have to sit on their chest and make them work.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, isn't it? Because at no point really this evening has Shakan Pitters looked under any pressure. As Richie's already pointed out, he's been able to box at his pace, do things his way.
Controlling the pace is key in any contest, and that's what Pitters is doing, especially with the jabs. He's well schooled, Pitters, because when he gets in these situations, he will then try and get back to the centre of the ring, because he knows that's where he does his best work. He just walks his opponent back. And this is when Sugden's got to realise that and get on him, double up the attack. But again, it's all to do with pace. Pitters is controlling it.
It's interesting that Sugden had spoken before the fight about that fighter's instinct, about the ability to just see that half a chance and try and grab it, and that sort of ring craft has been a little bit absent, although he has been put under a lot of pressure so far and continues to be.
Right, step back
Another round you sense in the bank for Shakan Pitters. And these rounds just start to add up, and George has already pointed out that a time would come when Sugden realised he needed a knockout, and that time has come, I think, here, and he's probably known it for a couple of rounds already. The question is, can he get close enough, and can he put sustained enough pressure onto Pitters?
Yeah, I think maybe not start punching from such a distance. He wants to slip and slide and get himself close to Pitters, maybe even just nudge him back until he hits the ropes or he gets him in the corner. Then he can let his hands go, because he knows then he can't drop back and hit him with a counter. He's gonna have to punch with him.
Corners, 10 seconds.
And as I say, when you're boxing a guy who's got longer limbs, sometimes they can get a bit tangled, and you can do the neater, tidier
Round 9.
work on the inside.
Well, if he is going to make something happen, he's got 4 rounds to do it in. This is further than Chad Sugden has ever been.
And maybe that's on his mind a little bit, and maybe that's why he's trying to maybe conserve energy for a final burst in the championship rounds.
Good boy. Nice shot. Good.
Pitters now still working on that drop back with the counter with the right hand, and as I say, he's starting to change it up. He'll go from an uppercut, the next time round it's a straight right hand over the top. Keeps Sugden guessing, he doesn't know which side of his face to cover, and it just makes him even more reluctant to commit.
At mid and long range, he's totally in control here, Pitters, and from the centre of the ring. What we haven't seen from Sugden in sustained bursts, we haven't seen him push Pitters and get really close up to him and make Pitters work at short range. So we haven't seen that, and that may be the answer for Sugden to actually get up close, and especially the left hook, because if you look at Pitters' right hand, it keeps dropping, but he just hasn't been able to close that gap down. But at short range, he's got to try that, and obviously if he pushes him back to the ropes, that restricts the movement of Pitters, makes his feet come square, and that's when he may have a chance to land the left hook. But up to now, he hasn't tried it.
Shakan Pitters, one prize fighter, which is what sort of brought him to everyone's attention back in 2018. Scored 5 knockdowns on the way to that, albeit I appreciate in a different format when people are taking more risks, and I just wonder if that's how he'd like to cap this display. Just put his foot on the gas a little bit and maybe try and find a late stoppage from somewhere.
If you look at Sugden's feet, his weight is on the front leg, which makes it much more difficult when you're fighting a taller opponent. When you look at Pitters' weight is more evenly balanced, so he can drop back, and with that additional reach, it's always got that bit of extra room to play with in terms of his reach.
Little injection of pace there from Sugden. Had a little bit more success, but again stops and starts the slow approach again. Well, just went through the gears there, Sugden, and had a little bit of success, didn't he?
And that little stumble from Sugden. Just wonder if he's starting to tire a little bit here. Final 10 seconds of round 9. Pitters doing more than enough. Not spectacularly, but still comfortably. Well, we are heading now to those championship rounds, and even though again Richie, still little pockets of success for Sugden, nowhere near enough to be winning any of these rounds, and Pitters is well on top.
Yeah, well on top and controlling things. We've seen glimpses there from Sugden, what he should be doing or try to do, but he just cannot close that gap down, and yeah, another round for Pitters.
Well, there's George's scorecard, and it's hard to argue with that. Spitters way clear. And there's only one way now that Chad Sugden's going to win this.
Corners, 10 seconds.
Can he make a dent here on Shakan Pitters?
Seconds out. Round 10.
Four knockouts on his own record, but not against this level of opposition. We lose so much, of course, not having crowds for these big events, but there are things that we gain as well, as we've already seen on the other shows before this one. You can hear the punches land, which brings its own fascination, and also hear the instructions and a real sense of what the corners think about the way the fight is going. And from what we're hearing, it's fairly clear what everyone thinks, and they don't disagree with us.
20. Off the centre. Towards Sam's going to come over the top, all right? Knock it down. Good boy. Start body check. They double up. Don't let him group. That 19
It's been an exciting division as well over the years, hasn't it? Tony Bellew and Nathan Cleverly had a couple of good battles. Remember them, George?
Yeah, I did. I was at a press conference for one that actually didn't take place when Bellew came down, and he was most upset. I think he hadn't eaten that morning, trying to make the weight for a last-minute replacement in against Nathan Cleverly, and then actually boxed on the undercard when them two fought. As cruiserweights. Great rivalry.
Right, step back, Shakan. Step back.
Yeah, we've had plenty of drama, and of course there's plenty of quality in this division on a worldwide scale.
Terrific division, some great champions, real tough guys, maybe not household names, but even in the UK with Callum Johnson, Joshua Buatsu and Anthony Yard pushed Kovalev the whole way out in Russia, and we've got it's a very talented division.
Yeah, absolutely. Likes of Peterviev and Bivol, extraordinary quality. This has been, in its own way, a solid performance from Shakan Pitters. Of course, if he wants to start mixing it at levels beyond this, then he's going to have to improve, and that was a great shot from Sugden. That's his best punch of the fight by some distance.
What a surprise, left hook. Good punch indeed from Sugden, just closed that gap down, didn't he?
Well, that woke Shakan Pitters up. Vulnerable to those left hooks against Dex Spellman, and vulnerable here. It's taken him until round 10, but he found the target perfectly there, Sugden, and it will give him just a little bit of hope, Richie, going into the final two rounds.
Most definitely. Look, just closes the gap down here and then just comes across there with that left hook. That was his best punch of the round, most certainly. We've been talking about it for round after round about how close he's got to get to land that shot. He got there and he landed a peach of a punch.
Right, did you feel anything in them shots? No. The only thing that you're going to get caught with, son, is an uppercut, guys. Yeah. So look for it. You've got to exchange hands with him, man. Yeah. Do you want to go in that place? Yeah.
You can hear what Dean Sugden was saying. You've got to exchange with him now.
Always got to speak, and I want to pick this thing.
Corners, 10 seconds. Seconds out. Round 11.
Well, that is the only way now for Sugden to take some heart from landing those two left hooks, and to try and drag Shakan Pitters into territory he doesn't want to get into in these final two rounds. But it is a long shot now, George.
Yeah, no, definitely. Pitters is head on points on the card for me, and he doesn't really want to make any careless mistakes. But as you predict, Sugden's now got to throw caution to the wind and let his hands go. Just landed a very good left hook there. He needs more of them.
Yeah, it's an all or nothing approach now from Sugden. The corner will know he's behind. You know, there was a change in tempo in that last round where he just stepped on the gas and he got close enough, and that's what he has got to do. He's got 2 rounds. Can he land another big shot?
Well, his dad was asking him in the corner, is he hurting you? And he said no, and he said, well, in that case, go and exchange with him, see if you can hurt him. He'll try and throw everything into this now. Here again, he was being told, every time you touch him, you're shaking him. Well, that was a good response from Pitters that time with his own left hook.
So you hear the corner, Pitters' corner saying control it with the jab, because the jab means he's going to box at distance if he's trying to land left hooks there, Pitters, which he almost did. But then that's allowing Sugden just to close the gap down a little, so it's more of a risk by controlling it with the jab. It's at distance, less risk. Terrific with the super shot.
Oh, Sugden's hurt there, and Pitters followed in. And a right hand there from Pitters. Dangerous moments here for Sugden, who looks desperately tired.
Yeah, still not recovered here, Sugden.
Pitters just taking his time here.
I might let him off the hook here. 40 seconds left in the round. Sugden definitely hurt, buzzed heavy with that right hand.
Well, that time he blocked the shot.
Right, step back straight away. Step back, Shakan.
Yeah, felt as if Pitters buzzed him once, then buzzed him again. And he looked ready to go, but as he mentioned, Sugden, he is a fighting man. He's tough, and he's hanging on in there. I'm not sure how much he's got left as we head for the final 10 seconds of this 11th round. Oh, Pitters still looks really fresh, and here's some of that excellent work, George, from the previous round.
Yeah, I mean, the corner might have a little debate here. You know, I think he's miles behind on the cards. He doesn't look like he's been able to pull it out of the bag. You know, he just got caught pretty heavy there in the 11th, and today let him go out for the 12th. We know he's a really tough man. Sugden is his father in the corner and knowing better than anyone else. But
this is what's all about now. He's a fucking chocolate.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth, Richie.
You're just giving him it.
You can be too brave, can't you, sometimes?
Yeah, like I say, it's an all or nothing approach, and he just got caught with a big shot there.
Corners, 10 seconds.
But he knows what he's got to do.
Seconds
But obviously,
out
by getting close, you're risking it, aren't you?
for the 12th and final round.
Well, Shakan Pitters, if you are just joining us in those green and black and silver shorts, is heading for this British light heavyweight title. He has dominated Chad Sugden. He's done most things right. He's got a few things wrong. He is a work in progress, as we've said, but it's been good from him. It's been game from Sugden, but not quite good enough, and he'll have to make something truly miraculous happen in this final round. Problem for Sugden is the fight settled into a pattern which he didn't want it to settle into early on, and he's never been able to shake Pitters.
Once Pitters got into a rhythm with that jab, you see, he really does control the ring space very well. He's a difficult man to get to then. If he decides to box at range, you've got to close that gap down. And if that first jab is sharp and accurate, which it has been throughout, he hasn't really slowed down, has he, Pitters? He's kept that speed with that jab, and that's the problem to get around for Sugden. He would probably, they were probably banking on that jab slowing down a little bit, but they've prepared well here, the Pitters camp, and that jab has been sharp and crisp, and has been key to everything that he's done, really.
them guys you box who might have height and reach advantage on you, and they want to get their jab establish and therefore control the ring. It's always best to hang back on the back leg and creep in, because then you can get your front leg closer without being into the danger range.
Right, step back, step back.
Sugden's leant on the front foot the entire night, and therefore he's just made it that slightly more difficult to get into range.
He found his range early here, Pitters, as well, with that jab. Started to sting Sugden, who has had no answer at all. And he'll think now, Shakan Pitters, with a British title and on terrestrial television with a big promoter behind him, he'll think that the sky is the limit. Significant step up this. He's dealt with it in one of his long strides. He's been really impressive. Final flurry here from Sugden.
Yeah, fair play to him. He's having a go.
Yeah, good work from Sugden.
And you absolutely admire the guts and the bravery that has carried him through. For the taller man, the rangier man, that little bit of quality as well has been Shakan Pitters, who has surely here done more than enough to become the British light heavyweight champion. It's a long way, George, from a perfect display, but it was impressive nonetheless from Pitters.
Yeah, no, it was. I thought he lost the last round, but I think he had more than enough rounds in the bank by then to not worry too much. Terrific work, you know. You would think that it would just be so much easier being that much taller and having that much height and range, but actually you've got to learn how to use those natural advantages to your advantage, and that will take time, you know. And as he goes through the levels, he actually might start improving and getting more and more knockouts, because, you know, guys ain't trying to smother him or just get, you know, cover up and not engage. So got a very good performance from Pitters. I think he boxed really well, showed great versatility in the backhand. In his right hand, he brought it up, he brought it over the top. He hurt Sugden in the 11th, and yeah, he's got to be happy with that.
And Richie, what were your thoughts?
I think overall it's not only been a very physical, dominant display by Shakan Pitters, but I think mentally as well, he carried out the game plan off to a T, didn't he? Right the way throughout the contest, held that concentration like that I spoke about. So yeah, I'm not only impressed, it's been a good physical display, using the height and reach very well, boxing from the centre of the ring, but he kept it going, he kept the concentration levels high. He prepared for a 12-round battle tonight. And yeah, he's boxed very well indeed. He's tall, rangy, and if he just keeps perfecting that jab, he's a difficult man to get to. He'll be a difficult man to beat.
Yeah, where might he go? All smiles in that Shakan Pitters corner. Of course, we've handed it to him. We have to make it official here. Steve Gray just waiting for that verdict to be finalised, but I think we know what's going to happen here. There's that lip of Chad Sugden. That was in the second round when that was hurt. Really nasty injury early on.
He experienced the success at the end of the contest, didn't he, Sugden? A little bit too late. You know, the last couple of rounds he landed a couple of good left hooks, but if he'd have landed those earlier, we could have been in for a grandstand finisher there. But it wasn't to be. But it was a good display from Shakan Pitters.
Yeah, I just wonder if he was concerned about the distance a little bit, maybe Sugden, and was trying to hold something back, and that's why we saw it late but not early. But anyway, it's too late to discuss it now. We can go and make it official.
After 12 rounds of light heavyweight boxing, our three judges ringside decide the contest. Phil Edwards and Marcus McDonald both see the bout at 118-111. Terry O'Connor scores the contest at 119-110. All three judges score in favour of our winner, and by a unanimous decision, he leaves the ring this evening as the newly crowned British light heavyweight champion from Birmingham, Shakan Putters.
So Shakan Pitters gets the win. Sporting applause from the Sugden corner as well. Great night for Shakan Pitters, the night he dreamt of, and a night on which Chad Sugden can be immensely proud of his display as well. The belt, glorious Lonsdale belt, will be presented in these strange times by the referee Steve Gray. Big smile and a bit of class too from Shakan Pitters, and what a great moment that is for him. He says he dreams of another couple of belts. We'll see about those in the future, but that's the one he holds for now. We will hear from the new champion very, very shortly. We'll also have lots more action for you, and all of that is coming, of course, after a short break. See you in a moment.
Ladbroke sponsors boxing on